By day 12. I had $47 left, not $47 until payday, not $47 in my fun money account while the rest sat safe somewhere else. $47. Total. In the world, and I still had 18 days to go. I want you to sit with that number for a second. $40.7. Because that moment, staring at my banking app at 11 p.m., the screen light cutting through a dark room, changed something in me permanently. Not because it was dramatic, but because it wasn't, because millions of people wake up to that number every single morning, and call it Tuesday. But we'll get there. Here's why I did this. The Federal Reserve's most recent report found that 57% of Americans cannot cover an unexpected $1,000 expense without borrowing money or selling something. Not 57% of homeless people, and not 57% of people who made bad choices, 57% of regular, working Americans, people with jobs. People with routines, at people who look completely fine on the outside, and yet, we almost never talk about what that actually feels like to live inside of. So I decided to find out. For 30 days, I kept every single dollar I spent at $500. Total. No cheating. No emergency fund, safety net quietly sitting in the background, just $500. The way a huge portion of this country actually lives, not as a challenge, but as a reality. Now before you say it, yes, I know. $500 doesn't cover rent in most cities. So I want to be upfront. I split housing costs with a roommate, bringing my share down to $200 per month. That left $300 for everything else: food, transport, phone, toiletries, life. $300 for a human life. For 30 days, and what I found over those 30 days wasn't just about money. It was about shame, about silence. About the invisible weight that financial scarcity puts on your brain, your actual cognitive function. In ways that nobody warns you about. Let's start from the beginning. Day 1 felt almost good. There's something quietly empowering about opening a fresh notes app, writing out a clean little budget, and telling yourself, this time, it's different. This time, you're in control. You meal prep on Sunday: rice, lentils, eggs, simple, cheap. You cancel 2 subscriptions you forgot you even had. You feel sharp, focused. Like you finally cracked some code everyone else was too weak to crack. That feeling lasts about 4 days. Day 5. A colleague mentions lunch. The new place around the corner, nothing fancy, maybe $14 with a drink, and you do the math in your head so fast it scares you. $14 is almost 5% of your entire monthly budget. For one lunch. So you say you're not hungry, you brought something from home, you smile, they nod, and you sit at your desk eating cold rice out of a Tupperware container. Listening to them laugh through the break room wall. That's not a budgeting problem. That's a loneliness problem, and nobody puts that in the spreadsheet. This is what the minimalist gurus on YouTube never show you. They show you the meal prep, they show you the cancellation confirmation emails. They never show you the 30 seconds before you lie to a coworker about why you're not coming to lunch. They never show you what it costs, not in dollars, but in dignity. To quietly remove yourself from normal human life because you can't afford to participate in it. By day 7, the hidden costs had already started bleeding the budget dry in ways I hadn't predicted. A tube of toothpaste, $3.49. A bus fare because it was raining, $2.75. A copay at the pharmacy for something minor, $15. None of these feel like real expenses when you have money. When you don't, each one lands like a small punch to the stomach, because every unplanned dollar is a dollar that was supposed to be doing something else. Princeton psychologists Eldar Shaffer and Sendhil Mullainathan spent years studying the psychology of scarcity. And what they found was devastating in its simplicity. When your financial margin is this thin, your brain doesn't just stress about money. It actually borrows mental bandwidth from everything else: focus, patience. Decision-making, creativity, all of it quietly degrades. You're not bad with money because you're weak. You're bad with money because being low on money literally makes you worse at thinking. And by the end of week 1, I could already feel it starting. By day 8, the novelty was completely gone, and what replaced it wasn't discipline. It wasn't zen-like minimalist clarity. What replaced it was a low, gray, persistent fog. A kind of mental and emotional flatness that I didn't have a word for at the time, but have since come to understand very well. Scarcity doesn't announce itself dramatically. It doesn't kick the door in. It seeps slowly and quietly. Until one morning you realize you've been staring at the same wall for 11 minutes, and you don't know why. You stop making plans. Not because you're depressed. Or maybe you are, slightly, temporarily, but because every plan requires money you don't have. And so your brain, trying to protect you, just stops generating them. Why imagine something you can't have? Why make yourself want something that will only remind you of what you lack? And then came day 12, I opened my banking app to check something routine. And the number staring back at me was $47. I want to describe what that felt like, but the honest answer is, it didn't feel like anything at first. There was just this strange stillness, like the moment after you drop something fragile, and you're waiting to hear if it shattered, and then very slowly, the panic arrived, quiet panic. Not the movie kind where you're hyperventilating and knocking things off shelves, the real kind, the kind that sits behind your eyes and makes everything slightly unreal. 18 days left, $47. Do the math. That's $2.61 per day for food, transport, anything. I put my phone face down on the table and didn't pick it up for a long time. Later that night, for reasons I still can't fully explain, I opened Instagram. And the first thing I saw was someone I went to school with, poolside somewhere, cocktail in hand, caption, needed this. And I remember this feeling that I'm almost embarrassed to describe, because it wasn't clean anger or clean sadness. It was this complicated, exhausting mixture of both. A kind of quiet grief, and not for their holiday, for the distance, for the fact that we started in roughly the same place, and somehow ended up in completely different financial realities. And I was sitting in a dim flat with $47 to my name, feeling like I had personally failed some test. A test that everyone else had somehow quietly passed. But here's what I didn't understand yet. I hadn't failed anything. The system had simply never been designed for both of us to win. According to Pew Research, the American middle class has shrunk from 61% of adults in 1971 to just 50% today. And the majority of those who left didn't move up, they moved down quietly without announcement. Just like that poolside photo, the gap between people who are fine and people who are drowning has never been wider. And it has almost nothing to do with personal discipline, and almost everything to do with the structural reality of wages, housing costs, and a cost of living that has quietly outpaced income growth for the last 30 years. This wasn't a personal failure, this was a window. A window into what tens of millions of people experience, not for 30 days as a YouTube experiment, but as the permanent, unchanging texture of their entire lives. And that realization didn't make the $47 feel better, but it made it feel different, less like shame. More like clarity, and clarity, it turns out, is where everything starts to change. Something shifted around day 21. I can't point to an exact moment, there was no dramatic breakthrough. No sudden windfall. No motivational speech playing in the background, just a quiet, almost imperceptible change in how I was moving through the days. I stopped grieving the life I wasn't living, and started paying very close attention to the one I actually had, and what I noticed surprised me. First, I got radically honest about the difference between a need and a want. In a way that no budgeting course had ever managed to teach me, not because someone told me to, but because scarcity forced my hand. When you have $47, every single dollar has to justify its existence. And that kind of ruthless clarity, as painful as it is to arrive at, is genuinely one of the most powerful financial tools that exists. Second, I discovered that the smallest amounts of money, handled consistently and intentionally, carry a weight that is almost impossible to fully appreciate until you see the math laid out in front of you. Here's what I mean. Let's say that after this experiment, you find a way to free up just $50 a month, not $500. Not some life-changing some $50, the cost of 2 takeaway meals and a streaming service you barely use. If you invest that $50 every single month into a broad index fund, something like a total market fund averaging roughly 7% annual returns after inflation in 20 years, that $50 a month becomes just over $26,000. In 30 years, it becomes $56,000 from $50 a month of money that most of us are currently leaking out through habits we don't even consciously notice. And if you can get to $200 a month, which for many people is achievable with genuine intention, that same 30-year journey produces over $220,000. This is not a get-rich-quick promise, this is compound interest. It is slow. It is quiet, and it is one of the only financial forces in existence that genuinely, mathematically favors the patient over the privileged. Third, and this one is less about numbers and more about something harder to measure. I learned that the single most expensive thing in most people's financial lives is not their rent, not their car payment, not even their debt. It's the decision-making they do while they're stressed. Research from Harvard Business School found that financial stress doesn't just fuel bad. It actively impairs the quality of the decisions you make about money itself. It creates a cycle that is genuinely cruel in its design. You're stressed because you have no money. The stress makes you worse at managing money, which gives you less money, which creates more stress around and around, quietly, invisibly for years. Breaking that cycle doesn't start with a bigger salaried. It starts with reducing the cognitive load, automating one small saving, removing one decision. Creating one tiny margin where there was none before, and not because it solves everything, but because it interrupts the loop, and interrupting the loop is everything. By day 30, I had made it, not comfortably and not gracefully, but I had made it. And I sat on the edge of my bed that evening with my banking app opened, a number that was barely above zero staring back at me, and I felt something I genuinely hadn't expected to feel, not relief, not pride, exactly gratitude. Gratitude that I had chosen to look, because the most dangerous thing about financial struggle isn't the struggle itself. It's the way we are all quietly encouraged to look away from it.to, keep performing normalcy.to, keep swiping the card, and scrolling the feed, and pretending that everything is fine because everyone else seems like everything is fine. It is not fine, for a lot of us, and that is not your fault, but it can change slowly and imperfectly. Point 1: intentional decision at a time. You don't need to be perfect with money, you just need to stop pretending you don't have a relationship with it, because the moment you get honest, genuinely, uncomfortably honest, about where every dollar is going and why, that's the moment the fog starts to lift. That's the moment everything becomes possible. If this video made you feel something, if it named something you've been carrying quietly for a long time, I'd really love for you to leave a comment below. Tell me, what's your biggest money fear right now? Not the surface one, the real one, because you're not alone in it. And this community is built exactly for that conversation. If you're new here, subscribe. Every single video on this channel is made for exactly the person you are right now, someone who is done pretending and ready to actually build something real. And if you want to go deeper, the next video is sitting right there waiting for you. I think you're going to need to see it. See you there. Disclaimer: this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial advice. Please consult a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Individual results will vary.